Krishnamoorthi.
Thank you again for your outstanding service to our country. We are so honored. Director Burns, a lot of my constituents think that Putin is crazy or he's playing crazy. In an open setting, how do you assess Putin's mental state?
I think his views, Congressman, on Ukraine and a lot of other issues have hardened over the years. I think he's far more insulated from other points of view and people who would challenge or question his views. In my opinion, that doesn't make him crazy, but it makes him extremely difficult to deal with because of the hardening of his views over time and the narrowing of his inner circle.
It seems like you characterized him as stewing in grievance and ambition, but he's also tempered by the fear of popular unrest. How do we assess in the last 12 days or 2 weeks his popular support in Russia?
I mean, I think this is something we're going to keep a very careful eye on over time. In an environment in which the Russian state media dominates what a lot of people hear about what's going on in Ukraine, it's going to take time, I think, for people to absorb the consequences of the choices that he's made personally. But
do we see increasing reports in social media in Russia about the deaths and the KIAs and the casualties? Because obviously they're probably going to hear from the front lines through some means about the status of their relatives, correct?
You do see some of that already. You see funerals in Russia of young Russian soldiers who were killed in Ukraine coming home, and that clearly is going to have an impact over time. You also see, in relatively small numbers, but a lot of very courageous Russians out on the street protesting, and something like 13 or 14,000 have been arrested since then, which is not a small thing in a deeply repressive society like Russia.
Lieutenant General Barrier, I and several members of this committee have introduced legislation called the Support Act. It's a bipartisan act to basically put in law our support for Ukraine, and if the Russians eventually overrun the government, which we hope and pray and we are going to do everything we can to prevent, an insurgency is likely to develop. I guess one of the questions that we would ask is, have you commissioned a reporter? Is there an organized effort to assess what we would need to do to support such an insurgency?
I think the entire IC is looking at that issue right now, and I think it would be good for a discussion in a closed session.
Let me ask you this question. With regard to Kyiv, the Russians appear to be attempting to cut off food and water to the city. How much food and water, or how many days or weeks of food and water do the people of Kyiv have at this point?
I don't have a specific number for days of supply that the population has, but with supplies being cut off, it will become somewhat desperate in I would say 10 days to 2 weeks.
Wow. Director Haynes, what can Taiwan, the government of Taiwan, learn from the Ukrainian government right now about how to prepare and stave off an invasion of Taiwan?
That's a great question. I should give that some consideration. Let me come back to you on that.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
The Chinese government must have misjudged our resolve and our collective ability to inflict economic harm on those who would engage in malign aggression. Director Burns, do you think there's any opening whatsoever for us and the Chinese to have a more productive conversation about Taiwan or their malign intentions, given that they may have thrown in their lot with the wrong horse, the Russians, at this point?
Well, Congressman, I would just say analytically, I would not underestimate President Xi and the Chinese leadership's determination with regard to Taiwan. I do think, as Director Haynes said earlier, they've been surprised and unsettled to some extent by what they've seen in Ukraine over the last 12 days, everything from the strength of the Western reaction to the way in which Ukrainians have fiercely resisted to the relatively poor.
But you don't see an opening right now
on Taiwan?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think there's an impact on the Chinese calculus with regard to Taiwan, which we obviously are going to continue to pay careful attention to.
Last question. The president appears to be considering banning the import of oil from Russia. What impact do we assess that would have on the Russian economy, Director Haynes?
I'm trying to think, so it's roughly 8%, I believe, of our crude oil imports overall, and for them, I believe it's a relatively small amount on theirs, but I think it will have some impact on them, and certainly symbolically, it's an important move if that's something that's done. I'll leave it at that. I'll give you a more detailed answer if we can on the impact on the economy.
Okay, thank you.
For the committee's benefit, since we've been in the hearing for some time, the president announced a ban on Russian oil while we were in the hearing.
I knew it. I knew it.
He was listening to Mr. Krishnamoorthi. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Mr. Chairman, first to the Intelligence Committee.